Hello and welcome to Say Yes to You and Why You Don't. I am Claudia Braun, mindset and lifestyle coach for busy women who are really good at taking care of other people, but not necessarily as good at taking care of themselves. So I'm excited to talk with you today about set point and homeostasis. Before I jump into that, I want to make sure that you download my 3 strategies, 3 hacks to say yes to you. So the way to get that is to go to www.freebie, Freebie, at claudia-braun.com. www.freebie.claudia-braun.com. And I will put that in the notes at the end. So let's talk about set point and let's talk about what that is and how it matters, why it matters, and why knowing this changes things for you. So one of the things that I hear frequently when I talk to women out and about is how easy it is for them to give their time away, how easy it is for them to feel overscheduled, exhausted. And one woman, busy attorney, told me that she's popping ibuprofen to get her through. So that is a set point. That is homeostasis. That's what she knows to be true. That's what she knows as the way for doing life. So this matters because our set point, our homeostasis, is where we are comfortable. It's where we know ourselves. It's how we know ourselves. I know I've talked about this many times about my struggles with eating, my overeating, struggles to lose weight, and then like really an obsession with food and how not to eat and to eat and diet and all of that. So that's how I knew myself a long time. That's the story I told. That's the experience I had. That's where my mind went frequently throughout the day. That was my set point. That was my homeostasis. That's how I knew Claudia. When I met this woman out and about, that's how she knew herself. Frequently, when I talk to people and they tell me their story, their struggle, it's how they know themselves. So, how do you know yourself? What's the story that you tell yourself of your busy life, of all the things you have to do? Take care of your children, take care of your husband, take care of your house, take care of your clients, take care of your parents. Give your time away to charities, community events, your church, your synagogue, whatever you're involved in. What are all the things that you give your time away to? All those things that you easily say yes to are the ways you know yourself. And you know yourself as being somebody who's tired, worn out, exhausted, overextended, stressed, maybe anxious, maybe inside really feeling stuck, hamster on a wheel, can't do anything different. Groundhog Day, every day feels like the same day. That's how you know yourself. And here's the thing, why this matters, why I want to really shine a light on it today is that how do we get to that person who, in my case, doesn't have a weight problem, doesn't obsess about food anymore, isn't frantically trying to get to a gym, isn't frantically trying to figure this thing out? How do you get to that person who no longer has that? It isn't by being the person who is obsessed with food. It isn't about being the person who has a calendar that's completely jammed up. That's not how you get to the other side. But when we know ourselves to be a certain way, it's really hard. And that's where that feeling of, I'm stuck feeling comes from. Frequently, when I start to work with people, they say, kind of like, no matter what I do, things don't change. I might change for a little bit. I know I need to carve out some time in my calendar for myself. I do. And then something comes up, and that time that I set aside for myself, I put other things in, and it doesn't get done. I know I need to, but somehow it just doesn't happen. Maybe you relate to that. You're not alone, and it's not a judgment. This is not a judgment. The key about knowing this is about being able to see, as I said from our first few episodes, we have to have awareness of what's going on. Things don't change unless we have vision, clarity about what's really going on. And the thing is, the set point is also a comfort zone. I was really comfortable being in that diet mindset. Conversations people have, like, oh, what's the latest way you're trying to lose weight? Oh, what's the thing you're doing? It's a connection, it's a conversation. It's how I knew myself. It's how I related to the world. So there's a lot of familiarity, comfort, and being in this person who overextends yourself, gives your time away. Because if there wasn't, you wouldn't be doing it. There's so much programming. And until we're willing to look at that, it's really hard to untangle ourselves because there's an entanglement that keeps us where we are. And that thing that my clients will get into is before they start working with me is they'd say, carve out a little time, but the time always gets given away to something else. Even though I start out pretty good, I end up not being so good. So that's the place where set point homeostasis kicks in. It's like, oops, no, I don't know myself like that. I'm not somebody who does that. I don't make time for myself. I'm somebody who gives my time away. See? And so that's where the shift needs to happen. And I was talking to a fellow colleague, and we were talking about the challenge, right, of change, because you wouldn't be listening if there wasn't a part of you who really wants to do something different. But on some level, you see you're not. So what I know to be true and what she and I were talking about is this kind of boomerang effect that happens. Why one doesn't change is because of this set point, homeostasis. This, when you know yourself to be a certain way, without the tools, strategies, and support, things don't change. But that's the good news, because then you have a formula for doing things differently. So start looking at where you in your life are in this homeostasis, set point. Think of it, I've recently been in this conversation with others, and it's like this conversation about where you set your thermostat to, right? The thermostat in your house set to 68 or 72 or 66, whatever the temperature is. When it's set at that temperature, if it gets too cold, the heat's going to kick in and it's going to go up. But if it gets too hot, it's not going to, it'll cool off. So that's the thing about our set point or homeostasis. It's meant to keep us where we are. Our brain, our mind is programmable, and we're programming it every day by what we are telling ourselves. And the more you tell yourself, oh my God, I'm so stressed. Oh my God, I'm so overworked. Oh my God, I have so many things to do. Oh my God, I'm so busy. Who has time for anything? That's what you're programming into your mind. And when you do this day in, day out, exhaust yourself, justify it because that's the way it is, or that's what a good mom does, or that's what a good lawyer does, or that's what a good realtor does, whatever your title is that you give yourself, you will keep yourself in that box. It's a box. There's no freedom in that box. And what I find is the biggest barrier for people getting help because they think, well, that's just how I am. And they get comfortable, and that's how I am. I know for me, when it was my eating, because I saw myself that way, I didn't really believe I could change, or I thought I could just do it on my own. Stayed there. Not much changed. Not much changed. Because, right, the mind that created the problem cannot fix the problem. I kept putting myself back in the same place. And it's how I knew myself. So I'd keep going, I might lose some weight, but I'd end up back in the same place. So whether it's weight loss or what we're talking about here, our mind, we are programming it every day. So what are you programming your mind with every day? Are you feeding it kindness, love, appreciation, consideration? Because kindness, love, consideration gives us time, gives us spaciousness, gives us permission to be ourselves. We are not machines. And that's the good news. We're not machines. But we become a machine, as they say, the human doing. You become the human doing when you program yourself with activities from 5 a.m. to whenever you hit the pillow. That's not a human being. You're not being, you're doing. You're not allowing yourself to experience the fullness of who you are, which is an emotional creator. We have emotions in ourselves. We have an ability here to create. And we only access that through being able to experience our creative self, which allows us to have space within our minds. Right? They talk about when you meditate for a long time, when you practice these principles that I teach in my practice, you're developing that aspect of your mind, as they say, the gray matter. Your mind is becoming more peaceful, calm, so you're open to new ways of being, which allows you to shift and change on a regular basis. As you become who you desire to be, instead of feeling like I'm stuck, I can't change. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. You know, I think it was Ford that said, if you think you can, you're right. Or if you think you can't, you're right. Either way, you're programming your mind. What are you believing to be true about yourself? Are you believing that you are worth investing the time to change your thinking, your way of being? Or are you programming yourself to say, I don't have time? It doesn't matter. What I think doesn't matter. How I think about things, how I see myself, stressing myself out, overcommitting myself, it doesn't matter. If that's what you tell yourself, you're right. But if you begin to give yourself permission to go, well, what would it look like? You're right. Both are true. But giving yourself permission to become who you inside truly want to be is where your life starts to get more fun, interesting, and joyful. I was at an event, I guess a few weeks ago, and I was sitting next to this lady, and we were chatting a little bit about what I do, and she was saying what she did, and she was saying she hadn't taken a vacation in 4 years, 5 years, or something like that, and thinking that was normal to not take any time, for herself. And I could see it. She looked, and she said she was very stressed. She was very overwhelmed, but it was a program within her. She didn't see herself as being able to to take time off, or wasn't thinking that she was able to do that because she saw herself as so indispensable. When we hold those ideas that we are so indispensable that we cannot take ourselves away to do something kind, loving, give ourselves an experience, what are we really telling ourselves? And then what do we tell those people who we're actually, whether we're working with or we're family with, we're not trusting them. We're not trusting ourselves. We're not trusting them. That feeling of we have to control everything, this actually does not serve us. It doesn't serve our health. It doesn't serve our well-being. It doesn't serve other people that we are in relationship with. And that is changeable unless we think it isn't, unless we think, no, that's how I have to be. And again, it goes back to, if that's what you believe, okay, you can be right about that. There's a line in A Course in Miracles that says, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And that's the question. You can ask yourself, do I want to be happy? And if you want to be happy, being willing to examine this idea, where do I have a set point that doesn't allow me to look at what's really going on? Where do I have a set point that keeps me in a condition that I don't necessarily want? Or I wouldn't choose this. And if you're thinking, I wouldn't really choose this because I don't feel optimally in my health, in my peace of mind, in my joy factor, or my happiness factor, it's a really good opportunity to look at, why do I take this on if I don't really choose it? Because the truth is, all day long, we are making choices. Even those things that feel like they're stressful and overwhelming and anxiety-inducing, you've said yes to it in your day. You've said yes to these people. You have free will. You're choosing it, whether it feels like it or not. So this, my friends, is really an opportunity to ask yourself, where am I set point? Where am I set? And do I like it? Or do I want to change it? Because if I don't like it, good time to see what I could do if I allow myself to change this. Your mind is powerful. You have an innate ability to create with your mind. And again, I go back to Course in Miracles. We were just reading it with a friend, and it was reminding us that, we are much too indulgent in mind wandering. And throughout the day, what are the horrors, or what are the dramas that you keep repeating that you don't want, the arguments or the frustrations or the pain or the worries? What are the things you keep repeating? Because that's what you're programming into your mind. And my invitation to you today is to really look at, do you want that? And by repeating it, you're acknowledging, maybe you acknowledge it or not, but you can say, okay, this is where I see my set point. If you're okay with it, fabulous. But if you're not, opportunity here to look at, what might I truly want? That opens up all kinds of possibilities and excitement. So I am delighted to have this conversation with you. And I'm so excited because I just think there is so much that happens when we open this up and allow ourselves to see things from a wider viewpoint, from another lens. And I know how much it changed my life and continues to change my life as I look at where my set point is or where I want to expand. And so I offer this to you in your life. Look at that. And in looking at it, sometimes when we look at these things, it can say, oh, I don't want to look at it because it's too painful. But the truth is, it's there. And you're just letting it fester inside. And that's where corrosion happens, right? We don't look at it because we don't want to. And then things get rusty and they corrode. They're like, oh, now the fender fell off, So this is the kind of thing. You don't look at this stuff and it grows inside. And then we really get sick. So this is an opportunity. I have said this since I started my practice 30 years ago. You do not have to get sick to take care of yourself. And I repeat it today. You do not have to get sick to take care of yourself. And so many times, that ego part of our brain that says, I don't get to take care of myself, keep it small, don't take care of yourself, that's going to keep you stuck. That's going to keep you in homeostasis. That is not a place of love, kindness. The voice that says, okay, let me look at this. Let me be a little uncomfortable. When we allow ourselves to be a little uncomfortable, we allow ourselves to move beyond this and see what is possible. Again, I offered this in the beginning of the podcast today. I offer it again. Please download my 3 hacks to say yes to you, because in there I will really walk you through some of the things you need to look at to start making these shifts. During these podcasts, my intention is to open things up, get yourself in conversation, to start looking at things. But through the download, you'll have worksheets. You can work things through, take this conversation, what you've gotten from here, and go a little deeper. And then share your comments. Reach out to me. And if you're enjoying this conversation, please subscribe and share it with people that you know. It is my great desire that as women particularly, we wake up to this idea. Yeah, we can say yes to ourselves, and the world is a better place for us doing it. Again, I'm Claudia Braun, mindset and lifestyle coach for busy women who are great at saying yes to others, not so good at saying yes to oneself. Do download my 3 hacks. It's www.freebie.claudia-braun.com. And I will look forward to being with you next week. Have a great week, and do share your comments and like and subscribe. Bye.